I'm going to start off with a QE just because Ryan, our videographer, has done his stupid little wave and I haven't pointed out his stupid little wave in a while, so I'm going to bring it to the forefront of this podcast. Anyway, on today's episode, we are joined by the one, the only, Carrie-Anne Selwyn from Hoopers. How are you, my love?
Hey, it's really weird being a guest, not the host.
It is really weird. Yeah, we struggle with this. We do struggle.
Yeah, it's odd. It's odd. Now, how you doing?
I am good. I am very good. There's lots of exciting things happening in Hoopers World because of me and you guys. You guys are like my responsible adults at the moment, which is a terrifying situation for all of us to be in. But yeah, there's stuff going on and I've got the baby dog to play with and it's just, yeah, all good.
And we're going to get into all of that in a little bit.
I'm very excited. To dig in and almost I feel like we get to use this platform for you to announce all of the amazing sparkly stuff that you've got upcoming. So that
no pressure.
Yeah.
I love
We've
it.
set the scene now.
Yeah. So if there are people out there listening who may not have a clue who you are, firstly, where have you been? And secondly, tell us a little bit about you.
So I am Carrie-Anne Selwyn. I am the founder of Canine Hoopers World, and I've been dog training for a very, very long time. And in a previous life, I taught children how not to die on ponies. So I went from being a riding instructor to a dog training instructor, which seemed safer in ways, but also not.
Oh, yeah. So how did you go from, or rather in that dog training world then, was that your, air quote, typical dog trainer and then you found Hoopers, or talk to us about that?
Yeah, so I started off in, I guess, what we would call the pet dog world. Did loads of different courses, lots of different things. Tried out pretty much. I'm gonna say a strong 90% of dog sports. Like I tried loads of different sports. I was at 4 dogs at that point, and tried doing different things with each dog because being able to give dogs different kind of genetic outlets as well as kind of just trying different things with them was always fun. Chica, my old Chihuahua, who's sadly no longer with us, was the one that I wanted to prove that Chihuahuas could do cool things and didn't just have to be like handbag accessories. And actually it was her daughter that got me into Hoopers because Chica kind of did a bit of everything, including a bit of bite work, bless her. She was just like the coolest Chihuahua ever. And then I bred Minx, and Minx just went, I mean, do I need to? Am I going to get fed for it? What's the point? And then I went to a Hoopers workshop and Minx was like, do you know what? This is quite fun. And I was like, amazing. I finally found her golden ticket. Like, this is the thing that she just loves. And did some bits with her and then was kind of like, this is a really cool sport because all dogs can do it. Like all the breeds can do it. All the ages can do it, but also the different ages of handler and stuff. So I started incorporating it into my classes and it became very apparent to me very quickly that actually I liked training Hoopers rather than just the pet dog stuff. And I kind of took a really big, brave, stupid leap and went, let's just do Hoopers.
So can I just interject here because I know there'll be people listening. Actually surprises me this, but there are people listening who haven't got a clue what Hoopers is. So can you just do a little brief overview? Because there'll be people going like, when she's talking about this Hoopers thing, what the hell is this? So just explain what it is in like layman's terms for people.
So first of all, rude. Why do you not know what the Hoopers is? So Hoopers originally started over in America, like it's got to be at least 15 years ago now. I just want to give lots of love and respect to Sharon Nelson, who invented the hoop. And without Sharon, there wouldn't be Hoopers. So, like, thank you so much to her for inventing this tiny obstacle that she then introduced into agility and angered many people, because agility courses have lots of big equipment in. Like, you think even a jump has big wings and it's very seeable, whereas visually a hoop is literally like an inch wide, or if you're in new money, 21.5 mil piping is the general size that we use for the Hoopers hoops. So when you think of a hoop, it's literally an archway, generally between 80 centimeters and a meter tall. And I prefer the non-based version, but some places still use based, but we're not going to get into that debate right now. So there is an arch that the dogs have to go through. The best way of explaining it is like croquet with a dog without the flamingos, if I can put in an Alice in Wonderland reference.
I love you describing it like this. It's great. But it does. It's you understand.
The dogs go through the hoops.
Great. And how does that? So it consists of not only hoops.
Yep, there are barrels that the dogs go around. There are tunnels that the dogs go through. And then depending on what country you're in and what organisation you're competing with, there are tunnels that don't have bottoms to them, so they're called chutes. There's a mat you run over, and there's a thing called a gate. I don't know who called it a gate because it's a screen that the dogs run past. So I feel the name gate is very confusing because at no point does the dog go through it. So there's kind of obstacles that they're going to either run through or run past or run round or run over. All of them are floor level. So there's no jumping. There's no, if we compare it to agility, there's no dog walks or A-frames for the dogs to be involved in. It is a lot lower impact. And therefore, I mean, with both my German Shepherd Dodge, who I lost a few months ago, and my baby Malinois, they both started playing with Hoopers equipment at like 4 months old. In fact, V was probably about 8 weeks old when she first saw a hoop, because there was one in the field and she went through it and I was like, yeah, it's trained now. Joking, it takes more. But Dodge started his journey when he got to me at like 17, 18 weeks old. And it's just a really fun game to play with your dog. So you have courses or sequences where you start off with one hoop or one barrel or one tunnel, and then you gradually make it more and more complicated until you're doing a sequence of up to 25 obstacles.
Yeah. And actually, the other benefits of it are that it's also accessible for older dogs and it's accessible to the humans as well, isn't it?
So one of the things I love about Hoopers, and I'm going to sound so lazy now, you don't have to run. Like physically I can run, but I make a very conscious decision not to do running because I do not care for this. So if I can do a sport with my dog where my dog's doing all the running and having all the fun, but they're also needing to listen to me for instruction while I stay relatively still. I mean, obviously you move around a bit, but for me, the joy of Hoopers is being able to handle the dog from a really small area, and the dog is doing all the cool stuff, and you kind of just have to make sure you get the words out at the right time.
Yeah. Yeah. And also from the point of view of the not big equipment that you need to practice it at home, which is what really appeals, doesn't it, to a lot of people?
Mm-hmm. So one of the Canine Hoopers World instructors I know has full equipment in a Mini Cooper.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So you don't need loads of space.
Yeah, it's amazing then, because this is the thing I think with agility. I mean, there are lots of pros and cons to each, isn't there, really, I suppose. But with agility, you have to have all of that big, cumbersome equipment with loads of space, and then you're really limited as to how much work you can do with it in between the training session, like official training sessions, isn't it? Whereas Hoopers, you can literally just set it up. I used to do it in my living room. I used to literally use like 2 stools and like get them practicing like figures of 8 with the barrels and stuff in
Practicing
between.
your front crosses.
Yeah, it's ace. Yeah, I used to love it because I am a qualified Canine Hoopers World instructor as well. So yeah, I used to teach the classes and yeah. So tell us a bit more then about the benefits for owners. So you've talked about the sport aspect. So what else is a benefit? Like why else would somebody want to do it?
So I think we've kind of started becoming more aware of the genetic needs of dogs as well as just kind of, oh, I've got a dog. But now we're understanding that, there's different breed groups and different crosses, and sometimes they need those outlets. And what's really interesting, Hoopers is super popular amongst the herding breeds, but also the gun dog breeds. And all the breeds can do it. But if you have a working type dog, being able to use their brain and give them some physical exercise that genuinely does make them tired at the end. It's not just about, going and walking for hours. Like if I want to wear the Malinois out quickly, I'll do some Hooper stuff with her rather than going for a walk, because that's going to tire her out a lot better mentally and physically. But also it makes the dog very aware of how they're moving. So if you've got dogs that maybe are recovering from an injury, as long as the vet says, yes, they're fine to be walked, they can start playing Hoopers, because the dogs don't have to go fast to start with. Obviously, if you want to compete, speed helps. I'm literally driving the sports car of the dog world, so I don't have a choice in speed. Viper just does everything fast. So that was my life choice. But for me, I find it so interesting that we have mixed breeds, but also toy breeds. And it's just people and their dogs just having fun together. Like from a training point of view, it improves the dog's listening skills. I think it also, for me, one of our things is about building trust and teamwork. And that's such a big thing of Hoopers for me. It's you and your dog as a team. And even if you're just doing it for fun, it's just a fun game to play. It's quite a show-off thing as well, once you start getting a bit of distance. But also, if you've got kids that want to run around with the dogs, or even adults that care to run, you can do that as well. Like it's not strict that you have to distance handle or you have to run. Like people can choose how they want to handle the dogs, which is another thing I really like.
Yeah.
I like it. So you going into you discovering that Hoopers World then and going, I really like this. This seems pretty cool and I'm going to go all in. What was that journey like then? So you've now gone, I'm not doing pet dog stuff anymore. We're just going to go all in on this Hoopers thing. What happened? What was the story?
Well, I kind of took it a step further than that. It wasn't just let's teach Hoopers. It was let's teach other trainers how to teach Hoopers, because I went on a few instructor courses and they were very much aimed at people that were already teaching agility. They were very much set up for sport dog trainers rather than pet dog trainers. And I was like, we have a sport that is so accessible to everyone that actually one of my goals with Hoopers is that pet dog trainers teach Hoopers really well than teaching agility badly. Ooh. Because agility taught badly is dangerous. Hoopers, of course there are risks because there's equipment and there's dogs, but the health and safety risk assessment of a dog running through hoops and round barrels is significantly less than a dog learning how to navigate a dog walk or a set of weaves. I am picking on agility a little bit, so let me pick on some of the other sports. Flyball, it's very repetitive. For some dogs, it's an amazing outlet. For some dogs, it's way too arousing. So Hoopers is a really nice way of working dogs in, I'm going back to a car analogy, but working the dogs in first and second gear rather than always having to be in fifth and sixth. Like you can start the dogs in a very kind of low-key way while they're learning the game. Also, going back to kind of that breed thing, herders and gun dogs have been bred for years and years to work away from us. And a lot of the stuff we're either with them or moving with them or they're close to us. When we think of obedience, the whole point is the dog being with us during heel work, right? Even like IGP in the protection sports, there's an element where the dog is next to us doing heel work. So having a sport where you can go to the dog, right, I want you to work over there away from me. That's an amazing thing for the dogs to do. And also for the dogs that aren't confident, what a brilliant way to build up their confidence. Because you start off there working 1 meter away, and the joy on someone's face when you've got a chihuahua that can work 10 meters away from someone, like that's a really big distance for a chihuahua. It's just cool. So I kind of saw a gap in the market of there's no one doing this for pet dog people. So yeah, Canine Hoopers World.
Yeah, and actually, looking at that step that you took back then, it's a really big decision to make because we know how scary it can be for people to niche.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, but well done for actually going like. And when did you start Canine Hoopers World? Actually,
2019. The first ever course was in Peterborough.
That's where we are now.
The second ever course was in Perth, Australia.
Ah, cool. Okay, so
it was international within the first 2 months.
Yeah, so what a huge achievement
Incredible.
to actually make that decision to go all in and to get it global, like straight away. So I suppose a good question might be then, for that person who is on the brink of going like, something needs to change in my business, I'm doing all of the things, I'm offering every service possible, there's something that I really enjoy doing, but I don't think there'll be enough people to actually facilitate that, just that one thing. What advice, if anything, could you give somebody who's feeling like that, but actually feels like there's a purpose for them to just do one thing really well?
So I think the first thing that comes to mind with that, with trainers that are maybe getting a bit stuck, I think one of the things that is really common in our industry is burnout. Like emotional burnout is rife within dog training, and we know vets and anyone that seems to be in the animal world kind of loses all their sparkle, and we need to get the sparkle back. So one of the things I found speaking to Hoopers World trainers is ones that maybe do more behavior cases and maybe deal with those spicy dogs, the dogs that have big emotions. Being able to do hoopers with those dogs gives the caretaker of that dog an outlet where they're doing something fun and training that doesn't need them to leave the house, or they can drive to a private field and set up a few hoops or a few barrels in a private field and practice some training without having to be in the world dealing with people with that dog that needs the room.
Yeah.
So I guess that's kind of, from the behavior point of view, I think it can be a really nice outlet for some of your clients that maybe have dogs that have such big feelings that going out of the house can be really hard for both the handler and the dog. You know, the human end of the lead also sometimes needs to do something fun. And as you said, Vicky, you can literally practice it in your living room. You can do bits in your garden. Like, you don't need loads and loads of room. And obviously, if you have the luxury of having open space, brilliant. But there's simple bits you can do without needing a lot of room at all. I mean, I used to practice with Minx in the garage in the winter. I literally cleared a little gap and had her going through a hoop and a barrel and back through the hoop and stuff, which obviously a tiny dog, we didn't need as much room, but it's still feasible that you can train those dogs without having to go miles and also spend fortunes on equipment.
Yeah. So from a mindset point of view then, so when you were doing the pet dog stuff and then Hoopers was introduced to you and you felt really passionately about Hoopers, what was the thought process going on when you went all in on that niche of Hoopers? I imagine it felt a little bit scary. And
I mean, I feel like maybe my undiagnosed neurosparkle led to this partially, because, hyperfocus, it's a great thing and a curse. But I think for me, I was so excited about this thing that I just wanted to share it. And I just wanted to let all the dog people be able to play this game with their dogs. And the easiest way to do that was to train the trainers, because you're going to get to a lot more dog owners through other trainers than trying to keep it as like being a little golem and it being my precious that I wasn't going to share. I literally wanted to just share the sparkle and cover the world in glitter.
I love it. I love it. So how did that hyper focus benefit the business at that time then when you decided to go all in?
So I'm going to give a little shout out to Fiona Cowie and Colleen O'D over in Australia, because it's kind of their fault it happened. So they had heard about Hoopers in the UK. They knew I was training and teaching it. And Fiona was like, can you come to Australia and teach us Hoopers? And I was like, oh my God, yes, of course. This sounds amazing. So I started writing an instructor's course for it. And then a few things happened and the planets aligned. And I just went, do you know what? I'm going to set up my own thing for pet dog trainers to do this fun activity with their clients. And I think because Australia was already in the pipe work, I then spoke to a few trainers over here and was like, hey guys, could I try this course out on you, please, before, because I thought we should have a dummy run before flying all the way across the world to do it for the first time. So it was almost, the first one was a little bit of a dress rehearsal, but it went so well and was so brilliant. And the instructors from that first course are still teaching Hoopers. So that's like brilliant to me. And then that was in April. I feel like the official like launch date was something like April 1st, just because I thought that was an amusing date to pick, because why not, right? And it's just kind of snowballed from there. And then it was the September of 2019 that the online course was ready. And that was when it kind of became truly global. But also I feel like I may be one of the few people that the pandemic may have helped.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
Because when I first released the online instructors course in 2019, there was a lot of dog trainer bullshit. You can't teach online. You can't do that. It's not. No. You know, all the negative from the haters that just don't understand the level of sparkle they're dealing with. And then the choir happened, and all of a sudden everyone was doing online. But mine had already been online from the September. So people already knew it was happening. And then people that were then sat at home going, oh, well, what can we, oh, there's that Hoopers. Oh, well, it's been going a while now. So it wasn't like it was a newfangled thing. It was just part of the business that we did. And since then, we've had a couple of courses for pet owners that haven't got access to a Hoopers instructor. And then we've gone from the first kind of baby instructor course to now that started at level 1 and now like level 3 is happening. So it's like evolving all the time, which is really exciting.
I love it. I love it. And from a business owner point of view then, so I kind of want to dig deep into this if you're okay with it.
This sounds like an adulting section.
You know me now. So for a lot of listeners out there, I imagine there will be a fair chunk going like, oh my God, like, Carrie, this sounds incredible. And you took this big risk, this big leap. You've done the niching thing that these weird pair of Jo and Vicky are always banging on about. You've done all that stuff. You're online, you're global. This sounds incredible. Like, I could never do anything like that. So from your raw and real experiences of that period, those first couple years of business, how did you find it?
Hard. It like, let's not pretend it was a walk in the park, because it really wasn't. There was one of the things I found at the start that I learned to block out very quickly was other people's opinions. So one of my favorite sayings, I say this a lot on the Hoopers World podcast, but for listeners that aren't familiar with that, opinions are like arseholes. Everyone has one, and quite often they stink.
Love that. It's great.
And that's one of the things that I had to really kind of get in my brain, that everyone is going to have an opinion about what you're doing, but you need to be true to yourself. You need to make sure that what you are doing is genuine. One thing I will say is give credit where credit is due. One thing that annoys it, not just dog training, just in the world, is when people kind of are inspired by someone and then don't own that inspiration. Like straight away, Sharon Nelson, oh my God, thank you so much. Like, because if it wasn't for her creating this thing, I literally wouldn't have a job. I'd still be floating around going, oh, maybe I'll teach a bit of this and maybe I'll teach a bit of that. And instead of me going, oh my God, this magic thing is so cool and fun and I love it. I think working with a business coach is definitely a very, very helpful thing, because having an adult to guide you, yay. Because one of the other things, like when I did the first course, I had a company come in and video it all for me and edit it and stuff, because I didn't know how to do that. Once obviously the business evolved and also the phone cameras got so much better, you can literally create online content yourself with your phone. And as long as you put in the effort to make sure it's kind of edited and stuff, we're talking about videos now, not my podcast. That's a whole nother thing that we'll get onto later. But I think as long as you're putting the effort in and have a plan, especially if you're in the neurosparkly section, definitely make sure you have a written plan, because otherwise you'll start side questing everywhere and nothing gets done. So, like, I guess own your shit as well. Like, you need to have belief in yourself. And if I'm going to quote RuPaul now.
Go for it.
And also, just quickly, if my lovely friend Lana is listening, she's going to be squealing right now because she knows what's coming. If you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you going to love anyone else? But that also applies to if you don't love your idea and you don't love what you're trying to get out to the world, no one else is going to love it either.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. So you mentioned about a business coach there. So in those early days of setting up Hoopers World, did you have a business coach?
I did.
Incredible.
Am I allowed to say who?
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay, so Helen Mottran over at the Pet Professional Network. It was kind of thanks to the PPN that I really got the courage to do my own thing. Shout out to Steve Mann at IMDT. I feel like I'm name dropping, but I also want to be really grateful to the people that have helped my journey, because without the support of these people, like, it wouldn't have gone the way it did. I remember I was writing the instructor's course and a few kind of questions came up, and I went onto the PPN group and was like, hey, this situation's happened. I don't know how to handle it. And Steve never answers anything on Facebook because he's a very busy man. It's very important. And he just put, cut down some trees, make your own. And I was like, oh my God. And knowing that someone that had something that I was aspiring to, because the IMDT, the Institute of Modern Dog Trainers, is a goal for anyone that wants to train other trainers, right? They have multiple trainers in multiple countries and they have all these instructor courses. And for me, that was the real inspiration. So when the person that started that went, go on, you can do it, I went, I can.
Bit of validation.
My poor husband sat there going, I've been telling you this for months. Serious.
Always the way.
Always. But it was that push from Steve and then Helen kind of holding my hand and going, right, this is how you do marketing. Because I didn't know about marketing. I'm a freaking dog trainer, for God's sake. Like, I'm not a marketing guru. So having an adult that knows how to do the other stuff is, would I say it's essential? Would I say it's really fucking helpful? Yes.
And I think for me, there's two things there you've said that are so pivotal to this, because one is that know who you are, know what it really is you're there to do. Like, what is the purpose of my, like, being a dog trainer and how am I going to help? And then secondly, that community of who you're surrounding yourself with. because that has been the thing that has made you do that leap. Because without that, you probably may not have had the confidence to do it. And you may have always thought, I wish I could do that. Even though my husband's telling me I can do it, it's not enough. I need someone else around me to go, you've got this, you can do it. So I think those two things there are, if you take nothing away else from this podcast, which hopefully you take all of the awesome information, those two things are like so key to making that next step, isn't it?
I mean, I feel that the third thing should be also come and be a Hoopers instructor.
Absolutely. The three go hand
Jo,
in hand.
do I get points for that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. You do. You do like a little snaps thing.
Actually, following on from the purpose of knowing who you are bit, and we've talked about niche already. I want to go a little bit further with the niche, because I feel like not only have you niched, you've niched into, I know.
She's super niched.
Super niched.
I am.
Deep dive niched into the sparkliness. So I want to ask you a little bit about this, because when you started Canine Hoopers World, there were other organisations doing similar things, not the same as you, obviously, but very similar things. So you slotted into that marketplace, made a big impact, made a splash, not only because you had that drive and purpose and passion and all that stuff, but because of the way you show up. So tell me a little bit, if people don't know you and are hearing you for the first time today, tell them about what is your other bit of your niche.
I mean, I have been described by several people as it's like a hurricane coming in. Like before we even started recording, like your lovely tech person was like, oh, I need to turn her microphone down. And it was like, no, that's just her volume. Like, I am loud. I am sparkly. Like I'm me. And I think this is what, the older I've got in ways, the sparklier I've got as well. And I think I got into dog training properly. It would have been 16 years ago, something like that. So I would have been like late 20s, early 30s. So I think by then I was just more confident with who I was and what I did and stuff like that. But I think it does tie in with the fact that I am so comfortable with my chosen magic subject of Hoopers, because you know, if I was going to be on Mastermind, it would be like, what's your specialist subject? I mean, possibly Disney, but also Canine Hoopers. Like, and that for me is part of it. It's because it does kind of blend into one, but there is kind of the Carrie-Anne Selwyn brand, which is very pink and sparkly with a touch of teal. And then there's the Hoopers World brand, which is very teal with a little bit of pink sparkle added in. And it does kind of merge, but it can also be two separate entities. And I think, I just got a look then. I don't know if that was a good look or
It's a very proud look.
Very good look.
Very proud
okay.
look.
Yay! Can I get more snaps?
Yeah, more snaps. I don't know why I've started this as a thing, but I'm sticking with it.
We're going on the Legally Blonde. Was it Legally Blonde?
Was it Legally Blonde?
Snaps? I feel it was.
Possibly.
It might have been Legally
Yeah,
Blonde.
it might have been.
I feel like
Yeah.
that's the second point this week I've done a Legally Blonde reference. And I haven't even watched it in years, so I don't
No,
know
not
why,
me.
but anyway.
It's because it's such a good film.
Yeah,
Just
it
saying.
is. It is. But yeah, back to the personal, this is right. You are not your business. You are you, you're Carrie-Anne, you have the sparkle. That is your personal brand. So I feel like, and I'm going to tell a little story about me and my journey with you, because I was aware of Hoopers. I'd heard about it, though I knew there were a couple of organisations doing it. But the reason I went with you is you. That's the reason. And I trained, as like I said, as an instructor. I did 2 of the instructor courses, and I loved every second of it, because you took me through it. You had this amazing community, which you appeared in a lot, and there's a lot of your personality in your brand. And so for me, I'm like, I could train with anybody. Like there were other people I could be training with, but I want to train with you. And that is why I bought into you. And my friend Emma, she did the same. She bought into you. And that was it. Like, it was that pulled me in. So that for me just shows how important that personal brand is.
The power of personal brand is, it's really hard to actually like quantify it for people as well though, because like I didn't go through the sports type or the activity type or anything with dog. I definitely just went straight into behaviour work. Hadn't really heard of Hoopers, but I'd heard of Carrie-Anne Selwyn. Like, that name was everywhere.
There you
I was
go.
like, oh, who is this person? Who is this person? I kind of know what, and I knew that this person, because I didn't know you back then. So I was like, Carrie-Anne Selwyn does Hoopers. Don't know what it is, but Carrie-Anne Selwyn equals Hoopers, like a little math equation. Yeah. And I was like, but to me, like, that just goes to show the power of the brand, and that you wasn't even in my world, because I wasn't in that world. I wasn't in sports world, but the power of that personal brand, and actually the detachment of it, like you say, like, you've got your personal brand and you've got the business brand, and they interlink, but they're also separate. It's part of that equation. It's that plus that equals this. And I love it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really cool. Really cool.
And I think the other thing to remember is that you just have to accept that you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. Like, I am totally aware that my hurricane of sparkle, some people just go, oh, nope. And that's okay. Like, that's cool. I mean, I'm sorry that your life's that dull, but I'm joking.
Oh, I love that. I love it. But you know what? Own it.
Wrong time.
Just say it. She got a mouthful of water.
I was having a nice little sip and it nearly sprayed everywhere.
But you know what? Like, for me, I'm like, that's owning it. And that is saying, like, if you want to be part of this awesome world, you can. If you don't, fine. Like, yeah, exactly that.
And that is it. You know, I understand that, like, you're not going to get on with everybody and you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. But when you start getting the people that do get your vibe and do want to be part of whatever brand of magic you're doing, then that's when stuff gets really special and really cool. And one of the things I love is when I see Hoopers World instructors having breakthroughs with clients' dogs and just them having fun teaching, because especially Jo, with you doing the behavior stuff, like, that's always something that I've hard swerved, because that's all very serious and adult and just nope. But you could easily go, right, okay, well, there's going to be some clients that need that outlet, like I said earlier. So actually I could do some Hoopers for the business. That's going to be a good thing. Likewise, if you're doing pet stuff, once you've been teaching pet dog classes, you start getting, if you manage to get that real club kind of community feel. My first ever class I taught, it was a Thursday evening. I took the class over from a previous instructor. So I walked into this room and everyone knew everyone. And then I kind of came in, like, at the time I had blonde hair. So it was literally like dog trainer Barbie walked in and was like, hi, I'm here and we're going to do this thing. And it was in a village hall and lots of gun doggy type people. And I heard the eye roll as I walked in. Like, but I proved to them very quickly that I was qualified and it was okay. And we started off doing walking around the hall, doing loose lead, practicing a sit, and it was all very monotonous. And then I was like, guys, have you done any scent work? Have you done any trick stuff? Have you done any? And actually, with that group, we did loads of cognitive stuff. So the dogs could actually, you could ask the dog 2 images, one would be big, one would be small, and you would ask the dog to show you big, and they would go to the big. And they could do that with 40 different images. Like, how fun and cool was that? Then once we were back outside for the summer, I was like, I found this new game. It's called Hoopers. And everyone was like, oh my goodness. And then they were like, oh, can we do a bit more Hoopers in class? And it almost, from the sales point of view, if you tap a bit of Hoopers onto the end of your class, people are soon going to then sign up for the Hoopers class on a different day, because the dog can come to Hoopers and be tired. They get a nice peaceful evening. If you've got kids as well, bring the kids along. You've worn the kids and the dog out at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Giving that little taster of, like, this is what it feels like to do this thing. I love it. I was thinking of something when you were talking then, and it's completely gone out of my head. No, but it's gone out of my head because then that little bit at the end, I was like, yes, that's the bit about the toaster. I can't remember.
No. Well, you're a good podcast host, aren't you?
I know.
Easy questions.
I mean, to be fair, I've made Vicky forget and I've made Jo nearly choke herself. So I don't think I'm the best guest, really.
You're doing well. You're doing well.
Oh dear. So, Carrie, actually, tell us what's up. Well, actually, no, I kind of want to go into. So, we've gone through the early years of your Hoopers journey, then, or your business journey. I'm not even going to say Hoopers journey, but like your business journey of going from pet dog general practitioner type thing to Hoopers extraordinaire super niche. Then, what happened after well, maybe not even like after the pandemic, but I suppose that's the natural timeline. But how have you found your business trajectory then? Like how has your whole business journey gone with doing Hoopers?
One thing I found this is for me personally, I found going back to real life teaching with actual people in front of me really hard. Like it was genuinely really hard. And because you kind of got used to teaching on Zoom and then all of a sudden, like they were actually in front of you and it was like, oh. I mean, first of all, you had to put actual trousers on. You couldn't just wear your jammies all the time. But it's like, I found that honestly, it was for some of the in-person stuff, it was harder getting bums on seats. Because a lot of people actually preferred doing the online stuff.
You don't hear that very often, do you?
No, I found that the online stuff has kind of had a continuous flow, whereas the in-person stuff has definitely had ebbs and flows. So that's quite interesting to me. I think also maybe part of it, again, this is me being honest, during the pandemic, I was doing Facebook Lives like Monday to Friday.
I watched all of these.
I ugly cried live on Facebook.
Yeah, I remember watching these.
But the Facebook Lives did a huge kind of thing for my profile and my brand as me. And then I think I just tried to slot back into business. And honestly, I didn't realize at the time how important the Carrie Sparkle was to Hoopers World.
It's so important.
I know, but I didn't know this.
I know.
What helped you realise that then for you?
I mean, y'all helped.
Y'all helped. We've gone to the other side of the globe now.
No, in all of, like, you guys did really, really help. It's been kind of really hard, sort of feeling like, as you said earlier, Jo, like you knew who I was without even being in my circles. And I almost feel like during the quar, that's why I refer to the pandemic, it helps my brain better. So during the quar, I sort of felt like I was on a bit of a pedestal. And then I felt like after it, I think like maybe a lot of trainers, it almost felt like I got pushed off. And I did not care for this. And I think the other thing that would have changed for me kind of in a personal aspect was I went from having dogs that were really sociable to having, I mean, God rest his soul, but that dog just chose violence. Like, so having a dog that literally would choose violence and had to be muzzled to leave the house, that was a huge shift for me as a trainer. And I was always so honest about my journey with Dodge because I felt so alone, because I felt like I was failing as a trainer because I don't want to say a bad dog, but it's one of the reasons why I was so vocal about advocating for dogs that have big emotions and do need to be muzzled and do have the person doing the best they can for them. Because as the caretaker, it knocks your confidence so much. Because one thing I've discovered that since he hasn't been in my life, my cortisol levels have reduced a lot.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And you don't realize what an effect that has on you as a trainer, because that's when the whole kind of imposter syndrome starts niggling. And I mean, Dodge was an accomplished Hoopers dog. Like, I literally competed him and he got to grade 3, which was one of the highest grades at the time. I was able to compete him. I had to be very mindful where I competed him and what the environment was like. He was always muzzled on a showground. I was very lucky that I had lots of people that were really supportive of me handling him and doing the stuff and making sure that we were safe, as well as me making sure everyone else was safe. But that did have a huge impact on me and the business, because I didn't realize how draining living in hypervigilance is.
Yeah, it's a. Do you know what? I love that story for so many reasons, but I think it's a really relatable thing for a lot of business owners out there, lots of trainers that, you know, you feel like, I see so many posts at the moment going like, get out and train your dog and do this. And you're like, I ain't got fucking time. Like, I've either got problems with my own dog, I'm trying to run a business, I'm trying to do all the stuff, I've got personal shit going on left, right and centre. It's draining, and it's like, how do I spin all of these plates? But then on the flip side to that, you become so much more relatable if you can tap into that messaging for your ideal audience. Yeah. And it's almost like, how do we then combine the both, and how have you pushed through that then? Like, how are you standing today, having gone through and arguably still going through that experience?
Oh, massively, because now I'm in the grief bit, because it was August we lost him, so it's not even 6 months now. And in ways it feels like he was 2 years ago, and in other ways it's like yesterday. You know, it's riding that grief. And I think that's something as well that I've had to be very aware of, because we lost 3 dogs in 3 years. Like, that sucked hard. And I stopped podcasting, I stopped doing the Facebook lives. And I kind of, like, when you guys came on my podcast and we spoke after, like, Vicky, you said it, that I just kind of poof. And then Facebook was dull. Like, the sparkle just went. And it's because, being honest, I lost my sparkle.
Yeah. But that just shows how important that personal brand bit is to your business.
Yes.
And it kind of forms the core of it. Without that, there's a massive gap missing.
Yeah. I mean, this is a sentence that no one should ever make. But I think it makes people realize how difficult life was with Dodge. Having a Malinois is easy. And I know that's not a sentence that anyone should ever make.
I remember when you said this to me a couple of months ago, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, like, what are you saying? Now, so let's fast forward before I freaking ugly cry on a podcast. In February, Viper arrived in our house. I'd waited 2 years for this puppy, because I was so particular on the breeding that was going in. And I didn't just want that breed. I wanted a really well-bred, responsibly bred dog because let's face it, Malinois are known for doing the bitey shit, which genetically they like doing. But Viper's mum actually does agility. Her dad does bitey shit. Like, he's very, very good at it. But her mum does agility. But I was also aware there was spicy in it. But for me, having a German Shepherd that I knew nothing about when I took him on, nothing about his breeding, couldn't get hold of any information. So then literally, I remember getting the message from the breeder of, we're on our way to Belgium to meet Dad. Like, I was literally told when all the sweet love had happened, and then, yes, she is pregnant. And then Christmas Day, I got a message saying your puppy's been born. Like, best Christmas present ever. So then February last year, I bought this she's my hurricane. She's my hurricane wrapped in a sweetheart. Like, she's just, in ways, she's so easy. In other ways, absolutely not. I mean, if you're not bleeding, it's not even dog training when you have a shepherd, right? But still in my world, because I'm not having to panic. And actually, I'm now learning that I can breathe. And like today at training, I was doing agility today. I'm delving into this agility business, which is ridiculous, but also it's very good for me to see how agility and hoopers helps each other. Her distance is already brilliant because she's been doing hoopers since she was a baby dog. So now distance is second nature to her because that's what I've taught her, which means I don't have to run in agility so much either. Bonus. But today I sent her wrong, bad steering. I'm basically learning to drive in a sports car. This is not the method you should be using. I need a Ford Focus and I'm literally in a Viper. So I sent her wrong and she went over the jump and ended up in front of two of the other dogs waiting. And then she went and got her toy. Now, if that had been Dodge, well, first of all, those dogs wouldn't even have been in the field. But he would have been likely to run to a fence and have a pop at something. She just went, oh, sorry, and went and got her treasure. And honestly, like, I didn't panic. Now, I've had her home nearly a year, and I've been without him 5 months. I'm only just learning to breathe again.
Nervous system is slowly resuming back to normal.
Right? Like, we really don't realise how conditioned we get to things when we're doing it all the time.
Yeah. So I like that phrase as well. Like, when you start conditioning yourself to doing these things, like, some stuff has been really scary for you to learn on that journey as well then. So, like, you know, like losing Dodge and then bringing V in, and almost you've got so many different personalities that we're dealing with. It's all that home life that then affects how we're showing up, but it's that consistency and things that you mentioned before about even that consistent approach on being on Facebook during lockdown and everything to then not being there. So from Canine Hoopers World as it stands right now, then, with all of this stuff going on in the background and almost this consistency bit, where are you now? What have your latest learnings been then, I suppose, over the last year?
So, my brain just glitched out then. Apologies. I was like, that question had too many facets to it. I need a slightly more streamlined question, please. Can we have a streamlined question?
A streamlined question. What are your key learnings over the last 6 months?
I just said streamlined.
That is streamlined.
So I think from saying bye to the boy and then it just being the little one-eyed chihuahua and having Miss Viper in my life, being able to just focus on Viper has actually renewed my passion for training my own dog. Because one thing that Malinois do make, you said earlier, Jo, like, sometimes you're just too busy to train your own dog. That's not an option in this house. If she doesn't do training, no one's getting any peace. So if I do want to sit my ass down for a couple of hours of an evening, I have to do something with her. And it could just be something very small, but she needs to do something every day. And with her, I'm kind of part of the reason why I'm doing the agility, and I've kind of got back into doing a bit more heel work stuff, and I'm doing some trick stuff and even some heel work to music, is that it's good for me to practice training different things because it keeps my training skills fresh. Because when it comes to this, I've had so many people, like, I'm not even trying to be all like, oh, my dog's amazing, but go onto my socials and watch this 1-year-old dog testing courses that I'm judging at competition and going clear in front of a crowd of people at 1 year old. Like, that's mental, because to me, hoops is easy. And teaching her hoopers was really easy because in ways, she's not dissimilar to Dodge. It's just like, Dodge was called Dodge because he was named after the truck, and Viper was called Viper because she's like a Dodge but smaller and faster. Literally named her so well because I've gone from driving a truck to driving a sports car. So the principles are the same. It's just now I have to do everything faster, which in Hoopers is easy because Hoopers, I'm going to use long words now, unconsciously competent.
Oh.
Whereas in agility, I'm very consciously incompetent. Like, or incompetent, should I say, like, because it's a new skill and it's new things for both of us. Whereas Hoopers, I'm an experienced instructor and handler. So bringing a baby dog in is like, oh, this is what you do. And the baby dog goes, oh, cool, okay. Whereas with a lot of the training we do with clients, you've got an inexperienced dog and an inexperienced handler trying to learn new skills together, which, going back to my horse riding days a while ago, you would never, ever, ever have put an inexperienced person on a young horse because they're just going to die.
Yeah. It's so true.
Every day we put inexperienced handlers with inexperienced dogs and expect it to work. And I think having an activity like Hoopers where it's very clear to the handler what the goals are. The dog goes through a hoop. The dog goes around the barrel. Like, it's streamlined, right? So they can go, oh, this is what we're doing. Or I can show my dog how to do that. And then that's where you get the teamwork. So I think that having Viper and seeing how quickly she's progressing in her Hoopers has brought my passion back for why I want all the dogs to do Hoopers.
Yeah. And in terms of that business structure, this new direction you're going in, slightly different direction, what has having that new headspace, so almost like having that portion of your brain that was dedicated to the stress of having Dodge and taking up all that kind of brain space, having that and reflecting on everything and looking at your business in a different way, how has that helped you be able to make this decision to go forward to do the thing that you're about to do? So
what is about to happen, and I have been given a bit of a push with this. Thank you, both of you. You are the ones that went, these were not, this is not a direct quote. This is what was said in my brain. Selwyn, sort your shit.
I mean, it's probably a fair direct quote.
From one of us.
I wonder which one.
I kind of feel like that's what's happened is I needed an adult, and I needed someone to just go, what are you doing? Come on now, let's sort it. And one of the things that's, I think, evolved in the thing, because obviously the course was new and I was like a new instructor teaching instructors. So I was still in that green stage, if you like. Now I feel like old wizened Hoopers person. I feel like an elder now. So with the wisdom that comes with being an elder, we are amalgamating the course. That's a good word, isn't it?
That's a very good word.
Yeah.
We are amalgamating the courses. So instead of people just going, oh, level 1, yep, I can teach the basics. Oh, but I might like to know more. Oh, but I'm not sure I'm going to do level 2. No. Level 1 and 2 are merging. And then we're adding a bit of a webinar that I wrote with Rachel Pocock is also going to be added in to add a little bit of sprinkles to this. So level 1's like the ice cream. Level 2 is like all the sauces and the cream. The webinar is the sprinkles. And then the absolute cherry is that I am also going to be doing coaching through Zoom for the people doing the course. So they get a bit more of that Selwyn sparkle.
A bit more, a lot more of that
This
Selwyn
gives me
sparkle.
tingles. I'm very proud of you for this.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask you if I'm allowed to share, but I'm just going to share. So go roll with it.
What's she going to say?
How did you feel on our very first coaching call? Can you remember?
Oh my God, I cried.
We've both made you cry.
Yeah, y'all have both made me cry. So just as a warning, if anyone's planning on working with the Canine Business Academy, take tissues. Have you got like shares in Kleenex or something?
Well, maybe we'll get them to sponsor the podcast.
But the reason I want to lean on that is, you know, not as a plug for us or anything, but that feeling of actually asking for help and committing and investing in an area that at that time for you was such a big, fucking hell, this is so scary. I just don't want to do it. But you got past that fear initially to do the investment. But then I remember on that first call, like you almost didn't show up because you were that fearful of what was going to happen.
Because it was that whole, I think in my brain is so bad with dates and times, but I think I just lost the boy before
Wasn't
he started.
long.
Was that
Wasn't
right?
long before.
I think I'd literally just lost him. So there was all that grief going through me. And then all of a sudden I was like, shit, this isn't working the way it needs to be working. I really need to pull my finger out. Hubby was getting increasingly cross at the fact that, quote, you might have to get a proper job, which rude. This is a proper job, darling. And I genuinely had lost my sparkle. And I think that we did a podcast episode on the Canine Hoopers World podcast. If you haven't listened, go and listen. There's like, I want to say there's 200 episodes for people to catch up on.
It's a lot of episodes.
It's a decent amount.
Yeah.
Possibly not with children because there is much swearing. Just FYI.
I actually can't believe.
The only episode I can guarantee with no swearing was episode 100 because I know I definitely didn't swear on that one.
But just before this episode, like we started recording, Carrie went, "Can I swear?" And we're like, "Are you actually asking that question to us?"
Just had to check.
Anyway, back to your
people
podcast.
request that there is no swearing, which
It's not us. Back to what you were saying. Sorry.
so I think it was part of it was the grief, but it was also feeling like I was failing at something that I had been good at, and then all of a sudden it wasn't working. And I think one of the things that's very easy as a trainer is becoming stale. Because we talk about routines all the time, right? You should do these routines and it's good for you. But sometimes routines need a little bit of a kick up the arse.
Mm-hmm.
And that was what I needed. I did need that kick up the arse to go, right, come on, Selwyn, sort your shit. You've got this. But it was also having someone tell me that I did get this. You know, you do got this. It's okay. You can. Because in my brain, I couldn't.
I would like to say that your journey, everybody's journey is so different through this, but your journey has been so much about your mindset and about where those blockers and fears come from. And so for us, our kind of role in working with you has been more so like discovering where those come from, how can we work through them, and how can we get that awesome sparkle back on the other side. And this is where we are today because of all that work that you've been doing. And we are really proud.
And I think I'm not going to cry. Don't make me cry. Don't be mean.
Making me feel emotional talking about this.
I'm not paying you to be on this podcast. You're not allowed to make me cry. That's the point, Asia. I literally paid you to make me cry. I mean, I'm sure like...
Part and parcel.
You should even be charging more or less for that thing. Like, I'm not sure.
Yeah, how far do you want us to push?
But I remember that question as well. And one thing I have really appreciated from you guys is when I've literally gone, I cannot, you've gone, that's fine, but can you try? So you haven't just gone, okay, but also if I have genuinely be having a day where I've just gone, you've gone, Okay. But remember, tomorrow is a new day. And that's the other thing that I think, again, a lot of people struggled with after the pandemic, because everything was so bullshit for so long that it was open, then it wasn't, then it was, then all the other stuff happened. And there was so much anger in everyone that actually it was very easy to forget that you can be sad this day or you can be angry this day, but there is always tomorrow and you can try something else.
Yeah. And also, you can change it. Like, even if you feel the worst that you felt, tomorrow is a new day and you determine that outcome of that day.
Yep.
So I think.
So, like, full confession, like yesterday, you guys were like, so Carrie, what are you going to do today? And I was like, I am teaching. If I survive a day of teaching, then maybe this thing will happen. But I also know that because of how my magic brain works, there are times where when I've been out teaching all day, I try and come home and I would literally sit looking at a screen or looking at a book and going, and nothing would happen. Like, it's literally like my brain's just gone, yeah, there's no spoons left. Fuck it. Whereas today, I wasn't teaching. So I went, oh, do you know what? Let's put dates in the diary and let's check this and let's write this. And I've actually written a bit of an action plan.
I love it.
Oh my God. And I'm.
As Vicky falls off her chair.
No, because I'm excited because I'm seeing you in the morning. So I really can't wait to hear about this action plan.
Oh, I've just dropped myself right.
You have. Accountability is right
Public
here.
declaration.
And by the time people hear this thing will be out in the world.
Yeah.
Potentially.
I mean, yay.
Oh dear. No, I do
I think though that sums it up, doesn't it? It is like, fuck. Yeah.
no,
Double-edged sword thing.
it's so nice. And, you know, like, I do feel really emotional watching this journey because I remember that first call, and even I was thinking, I was like, oh my God, she's so fearful. She doesn't even want to get on a call with me. Like, she just doesn't want to happen. And then we did, and you were like, I'm scared. And I was like, okay, that's fine. What are we scared about? And we just explored it. And I think sometimes for anybody listening out there, if you're feeling stuck in the business side of it, getting support in a way that's going to work for you, it should be scary to a degree, but it shouldn't. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you find the right person, if you find the right course, if you find the right book or whatever it is, when it's right for you, then it works, doesn't it?
So I can always remember being told that butterflies aren't a bad thing. It means you care.
Yes. Yes, I totally agree with that.
Like, if you're getting those butterflies, it's because you give a shit.
I did take that quite literally initially. I was like, what are we on about butterflies
did
for?
you really?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Let's see what I'm working with here.
I'm back in the room. It's fine.
Do you know what? I'm not even angry. I'm really disappointed.
Disappointed. That hits harder, doesn't it? When someone says, I'm really disappointed.
She saw the eyebrow go up and everything. She got the eyebrow.
I got that eyebrow, didn't I? Do you remember when you gave me that eyebrow? And I was like, oh my God, I must have overstepped.
It's why I can't have Botox anymore, because the eyebrow wasn't working properly. I'm like, yeah, I can't do that. I'm just going to have to get old and wrinkly. So the eyebrow still works.
So you can still use the eyebrow.
I love it. I love it. But no, like, you're right though, isn't it? It's like when you get those feelings, like, it shows that you care. It shows that you actually need to do something. And I think
something's driving it, isn't it? The anticipation of like what's on the other side of the fear is there. It's the intrigue of going like, I am a bit scared, but I want to get past it so I can see what's on the other side of that.
Yeah. What helped you get past it?
I mean, possible, like, oh God, if you'd asked my dad, he would have said stupidity, God rest him. But, you know, I think for me, asking for help, I don't see asking for help as a bad thing, because you can't be an expert at everything, and you're much better off, you know, niching, specializing. My niche is the hoopers, so that's not the business thing. So I went, right, who can help me on this side of things? You know, when I was setting up the website, I went to a website person that hosts my website, because I don't understand that stuff. But I think sometimes you just have to be brave. You just have to be a bit brave and fuck it. I mean, not literally, but like, you know, sometimes you just have to take a deep breath and see if you can fly.
Yeah.
And sometimes you will fall. And what you want to make sure is that you've got friends that are going to laugh, take the piss, and then pick you up again.
Catch you and help you back up.
You don't, and I think this is one of the things that a lot of dog trainers worry about is what other trainers are doing. Remember, comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
Do not compare yourself to others. You are you. No one else is you.
Yeah.
Such a
Like,
good lesson.
I feel like if, Jo, I'm going to pick on you a bit, but I feel like if you tried to bring this level of sparkle hurricane, it's probably not the vibe.
Yeah. No, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I'll own it.
I feel like Vicky
I can
could
do
have
a
really pushed herself and tried really hard. But I feel like Jo's just like, yeah, no, that's
It's
bullshit.
a bit like when you're trying to
do
get
a level of it.
Yeah, but it's a bit like when you're trying to get that dog owner to go like, come on, like, and be all excited for a recall, and they're just like, come on, like, come here, and you're never going to get it because they're not built like that.
Yeah. Then you give them a whistle.
Yeah. Yes. You give them a helping hand.
I need a helping hand for Sparkle.
Yeah, you do.
I can be sparkly, just not
the glitter through the post. She's going to hate me.
Yeah.
She'll open up an envelope.
It's just going to go
I
everywhere.
love it. The kids would love
You
it.
probably love that. You actually probably would love that.
Yeah, especially at Christmas time.
We've just got over Christmas. Can we leave it another 12 months, please?
Yeah, at least get Halloween out of the way. I mean, goodness.
Yeah. Come on.
Oh dear. Rightio then, I think we should wrap it up. So, Carrie-Anne, my wonderful, wonderful friend now. Feel very privileged to call you that.
You are in the circle now, babe.
Hey! We're in.
Yes.
Where can people find out more about you?
Oh, so www.caninehoopersworld.com is where you find the courses and the adult things. If you want to see me doing silly stuff with the Mally puppy, TikTok's a pretty good place for that, Canine Hoopers World. There is an Instagram and a Facebook, which I'm learning how to reutilize correctly because I'm shit. And if you want to just follow me and some of the craziness that's my world, then Carrie-Anne Selwyn, I'm like the only one on the whole of Facebook.
Are you?
But I know, right? That's how good my brand is.
Yeah. That is a unique thing.
And actually, you'll be posting on all of these said platforms about your new up and coming launch as well.
No. You will have
already
Already, yeah.
You will have already done all of that.
I would have already have done it, but at time of recording, I have genuinely started because I even sent you a screenshot to prove it.
Evidence.
So all of these places will have more information about what the new thing is.
Yes, about the evolution. It's like a Pokemon, it's evolving.
Ooh, yeah, I like it. Yeah, so
Go find out, everyone. Go have a look. It's all there. And then we've got one final question that we need your brain to engage for. So you know us, you know what we're trying to do for the industry. Who do you know that you think would be a good guest for this podcast
Oh,
that we haven't already
man,
had?
why couldn't you ask me this before? I can at least have prepped it.
That's the whole point.
Oh, no.
And you know a lot of people, so this is going to be hard for you.
Guys, I'm really I feel like the listeners now just go, I hope you edit out this pause because this is literally like a 5 minutes later.
No, we're not editing it out. It's in.
Ryan, our production guy, is going, no. No, we're not editing it out.
Oh, no. Who to get on as a guest?
It's going to drive the mission. It's going to help dog trainers. It's going to boost the industry.
So that's going to help. I actually, straight away, as soon as you said that, one of the favourite non-hooper courses I went on was the legs course. So I am going to either suggest or throw under the bus. I'm not sure which one. Kim Brophy.
Done. We've already had her. We're actually speaking at the Legs conference.
I listened so avidly that I remembered who the
Yeah, exactly.
This is why you're meant to prep me on this.
No,
Yeah, sorry.
we're actually speaking at her conference in May in Boston.
Well, that is very fabulous. And like, yeah, Kim's amazing. Oh God, does that mean I've got to pick someone else?
Yeah. But if you want to tell us after, we can.
Yeah, we'll let you message us.
Okay, well, I mean, I feel a bit embarrassed now that I literally picked someone that like you've already had on.
Don't worry, because we would have absolutely contacted her if we hadn't, but we have. So it's all good. All good. Thank you so much,
I'm not
Carrie.
gonna lie, I'm disappointed in myself now.
Don't worry. We'll get one from you after. Don't worry.
You're in our phone book. You're not getting away.
I'm like, no. I'm like storming off and going back to Neverland now. Screw it.
Sorry, you got Vicky in the morning. You can
tell me
hash
then.
it out then. Carrie, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you ever so much for your time and joining us on our wee little podcast that continues to grow. Oh, she's got a finger up.
What's the name?
Oh, go.
Ryan Cartilage.
Right,
Ooh, good
Animal
name.
Training Academy.
Good name, yeah.
Yes, no, that good shout. I'm
There you
glad you
go.
got that in at the end. You feel better now, don't you?
Oh, I feel like I swerved that in at the end. It was like a last
Pulled
minute
it back
Pulled
in.
back. Yes. Coolio.
And please do tell Ryan that I said tag you're it.
Okay, will do.
Thank you so much.
You are welcome, darlings.
Mwah. See you later.
Bye.